Let me speak to the one who's still wide awake at 3 a.m., replaying conversations, overanalyzing actions, stuck between missing someone and hating what they did to you. To the one who gave everything, your time, your love, your energy, only to be drained, manipulated, and left feeling empty. I see you, and I need you to hear me when I say, you did not deserve the pain, but you do deserve the healing. You've cried behind closed doors, smiled in front of crowds, and carried a heart so heavy it nearly broke your spirit. But you're still here, and that means something. That means your story isn't over. That means your heart is still beating, because it refuses to give up on you, even when you gave up on yourself. It's time. Time to let go of the memories that only bring you pain. Time to move on from the person who never saw your worth. And time to finally heal the wounds they left behind, because your future cannot be built on the rubble of your past. And you are not meant to live stuck in survival mode. You are meant to thrive, to rise, to start again. You keep looking back like it was something beautiful. You remember the laughs, the late night talks, the way they held your hand and made you feel like the only person in the world. But baby, you're only looking at the highlight reel. You're forgetting the days you cried yourself to sleep, the way your stomach twisted every time they made you feel like a burden. You're forgetting the lies, the manipulation, the emotional warfare you had to survive. That wasn't love. That was control wrapped in the disguise of affection. But the heart has a funny way of editing memories, turning nightmares into dreams just because we missed the comfort of what once felt familiar. You've got to stop dressing up your pain in pretty colors. You've got to stop telling yourself it was love when it was survival. Because healing starts when honesty begins, and honesty says, it wasn't as good as you keep trying to remember it. It was breaking you piece by piece. And you kept calling it passion. Let the truth set you free, not the fantasy you created to cope. They didn't change. They just changed how they treated you. You keep holding on to the version of them that showed up in the beginning, the sweet words, the thoughtful gestures, the way they made you feel seen. But all of that was a performance, and they knew exactly what they were doing. See, a person doesn't suddenly go cold without reason. They were never warm to begin with. They just wore a mask long enough to make you fall. And when you did, they dropped it, knowing you were too deep in to walk away. That's not love. That's manipulation. Stop thinking you can get back to the old them. The old them never existed. You weren't in love with a person. You were in love with a character they played to get what they wanted. And the hardest part to swallow is this. You were loyal to someone who only loved what you could give them. That's why you feel so hollow now, because you kept pouring into someone who never planned to pour back. And now look at you, constantly doubting your worth, questioning if you were too emotional, too sensitive, too needy. But those weren't flaws. Those were feelings. Real, raw, human feelings that deserve to be met with empathy, not judgment. You weren't too much. They were just too little to handle someone who loves deeply. And they made you feel guilty for having a heart that feels everything. That's the trauma speaking. That's the voice of someone who conditioned you to suppress yourself so they could shine. And now that they're gone, you still carry their voice in your mind, second guessing every emotion you have. Let me tell you something real. Their inability to love you had nothing to do with your ability to be loved. Don't let their mistreatment become your mirror. Don't let their silence become your self-talk. You are not the problem. You are just trying to love someone who didn't have the capacity to receive it. And that doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. Beautifully, imperfectly. You kept holding on to potential like it was reality. You fell for what they could be, not what they consistently were. That's the danger of loving someone based on hope. You end up sacrificing your present for a future that never arrives. You saw their brokenness and thought your love could fix them. You believed your patience, your loyalty, your compassion would be enough to heal their wounds. But no amount of love can save someone who doesn't want to be saved. And in trying to be their hero, you became their collateral damage. Every time you excused their behavior with, they're just going through something, you silenced your own needs. Every time you said they didn't mean it, you dismissed the pain that was eating you alive. And now you're left with the scars while they walk away unbothered. That's what happens when you invest in someone's potential but ignore their pattern. You were building a fantasy while they were dismantling your peace. And now it's time to see it for what it was, not what you hoped it would be. You know what's cruel? How they gave you just enough to stay, but never enough to feel safe. One day they'd be affectionate, the next they'd withdraw. One moment they promised the world, the next they'd disappear. That inconsistency became your normal. And somewhere along the way, you started confusing instability with passion. You started believing that the emotional roller coaster was a sign of deep love, not dysfunction. But real love doesn't feel like anxiety. It doesn't make you question where you stand. It doesn't make you feel like you're begging for crumbs when you deserve the whole feast. You became addicted to the chaos because it mirrored something deep inside you. Maybe something you saw in childhood, maybe something you were taught to accept. But you deserve better than emotional whiplash. You deserve consistency, presence, peace. So stop looking back like you lost something rare. What you lost was confusion dressed as chemistry. What you let go of was a storm that never let you breathe. And what you're walking toward is clarity. Let that be enough. You weren't asking for too much. You were just asking the wrong person. You wanted honesty, loyalty, communication, the basics. But they made you feel like your standards were unrealistic. They convinced you that you were hard to love. But that was projection. They didn't want to rise to the level you deserved, so they tried to bring you down to the level they were comfortable with. They wanted you silent, small, independent. Because the moment you realized your power, you'd outgrow them. And that terrified them, so they kept you second-guessing yourself. They made you feel like love had to hurt to be real, that the best you could hope for was at least they didn't leave. But let me tell you something. Survival is not love. Enduring pain is not a badge of honor. And relationships are not meant to be endurance tests. You don't have to shrink to fit someone else's comfort zone. You don't have to abandon yourself to be chosen. The right person will meet you where you are and rise with you. Not belittle you, not break you, not betray you. And maybe part of you is still waiting for them to come back, to apologize, to finally say the words you needed to hear. But don't you see, that's another trap. You're holding your healing hostage, waiting for closure that may never come. They're not losing sleep over what they did to you, so why are you losing sleep over someone who couldn't even give you decency? Let this be your closure. Let the truth be loud enough. Someone who loves you doesn't treat you like you're disposable. Someone who respects you doesn't disappear when things get hard. You don't need their validation to move on. You don't need their permission to heal. The chapter is closed, even if they never say goodbye. And the longer you wait for them to make it right, the longer you delay your freedom. You don't need their words. You need your decision. Choose yourself. Choose your peace. Choose to stop looking for healing in the same place that hurt you. You gave them the best parts of you, your loyalty, your time, your energy, and they treated it like it was nothing. That kind of betrayal cuts deep. It makes you question whether giving is worth it. But don't let their inability to receive love change the way you love. You didn't lose because you cared. You didn't fail because you tried. That's your strength. That's what sets you apart. They may have walked away with your effort, but they'll never find that kind of depth again. And you're still capable of love, still capable of kindness. You just need to give it to someone who values it. But most importantly, start by giving it to yourself. Be as kind to yourself as you were to them. Be as patient with your healing as you were with their damage. You are not less worthy because they couldn't see it. Their blindness is not your burden to carry. You were never too much. They were just not enough. And one day, you'll see this not as rejection, but as redirection to something real, to something whole. Sometimes we hold on not because we're in love, but because we're afraid of starting over. The thought of being alone terrifies us, so we settle for someone who breaks us slowly. But what you have to understand is this. Loneliness is not the enemy. Staying in a place that kills your spirit is. Starting over is scary, but staying broken is worse. You've already survived the worst part, being with someone who didn't see your value. Now comes the hard part. Choosing to see it for yourself. Choosing to wake up every day and remind yourself, I am not defined by who hurt me. I am not a reflection of their mistreatment. I am worthy of more. You can love again, trust again, smile again. But first, you have to walk away, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Walk away from the illusion, from the lie that this is all you'll ever have. Because there's a version of life waiting for you that feels like peace, not pressure. And you deserve to know what that feels like. And I know part of you still blames yourself. You wonder what you could have done differently, how you could have made them stay. But let me tell you the truth you've been avoiding. It wasn't your job to fix someone who wasn't ready to be whole. You gave everything and they gave you just enough to keep you hooked. That's not love. That's manipulation. And now, every time you replay the story, you twist the pain into romance. You make excuses. You call it passion, but it wasn't passion. It was trauma bonding. And that's why it's so hard to let go. Because somewhere deep inside, your mind learned to call chaos home. But you're not broken. You're healing. You're waking up to the truth. And with every tear, every sleepless night, you're unlearning what you thought was love. One day you'll look back and thank yourself for having the courage to walk away from the illusion. But today, just take one step away from the fantasy toward the truth, because the truth will set you free, even if it hurts. Pain has a way of speaking to us when nothing else can. It breaks through the noise, grabs your heart, and forces you to listen. You didn't ask for it. You didn't deserve it. But it came anyway, in the form of betrayal, heartbreak, loss, failure. And I know it feels unfair. Feels like life just threw you into the fire and walked away. But listen to me closely. There's purpose in that fire. It's refining you, burning away everything that isn't meant for where you're going. See, pain doesn't show up to destroy you. It shows up to prepare you. It shows up to reveal the truth, to uncover strength you didn't know you had, to wake you up. So don't curse the pain. Don't waste it. Let it teach you. Let it change you. Let it build something inside you that comfort never could, because pain is a teacher that comfort could never match. And if you walk through it with your eyes open, you'll come out of it with wisdom no textbook can offer. Don't run from it. Sit with it. Understand it. And when it finally passes, let it make you better, not bitter. You keep asking, why me? But maybe the question should be, what is this trying to teach me? Because life doesn't waste pain. It doesn't allow you to suffer without planting something deep inside of you, a seed. And that seed, that's your power, that's your story, that's your growth. I know you didn't choose the heartbreak. I know you didn't sign up for the disappointment. But sometimes the things that hurt us the most become the very things that awaken the fire in us. The things that hurt you shaped you. They carved character, carved wisdom, carved perspective. Without the pain, you'd still be asleep. You'd still be living in the shallow end of life, avoiding the deep water where transformation lives. But now you see things differently. You speak with more depth. You move with more intention. And that didn't come from easy days. That came from walking through hell and choosing not to stay there. Don't let your suffering be meaningless. If it broke you, then let it also build you. Let it give birth to a version of you that wouldn't have existed otherwise. I know what it's like to feel like the pain will never end. To wake up every day carrying something invisible that no one else can see. You smile, but your heart is heavy. You go through the motions, but you're bleeding inside. And people say, just move on. Not knowing that moving on isn't a switch. It's a war. A war with your own thoughts, your own doubts, your own memories. But I want you to understand something. Healing is not linear. Some days you'll feel okay. Other days you'll feel like you're drowning. And that's all right. Because healing isn't about pretending it didn't happen. It's about learning how to live with what happened without letting it define you. You're allowed to feel it all. The grief, the anger, the confusion. Feel it, but don't live there. Take what you need from the pain and then rise. Use it as fuel. Use it as foundation. Because one day you'll look back and realize that pain wasn't your end. It was your beginning. The very thing that broke you also woke you up. You see, some people use pain as a prison. Others use it as a platform. And that's the choice in front of you. Are you going to stay stuck in the narrative of what hurt you? Or are you going to let that pain elevate you into your purpose? You've got a story now. You've got experience now. You've got survival in your bones. That means something. That carries weight. Don't keep that to yourself. Share it. Live it. Let others know they're not alone. The pain you endured can become the light for someone else's darkness. Don't underestimate that. What you went through, as unfair as it was, can be the very thing that gives someone else hope. Don't let it die with you. Don't let your scars be silent. Turn them into wisdom. Turn them into purpose. Let every tear you cried water something meaningful. Because if you're going to suffer, at least let the suffering serve a purpose greater than the pain itself. That's how you honor what you went through, by not wasting it, by making it matter. There's a strength in you now that wasn't there before, a depth, a fire. Because pain doesn't just break things. It builds things too. It builds patience, builds perspective, builds resilience. The kind of resilience that can't be taught, only earned. The kind that makes you walk into storms differently, not scared but prepared, not hopeless but humble. You're not the same person who entered the fire, and you shouldn't be. Because pain, when faced with courage, transforms. It changes your priorities, changes how you love, changes what you tolerate. You stop chasing validation. Stop begging people to see your worth, because now you know what you've survived. You know what you've overcome. You stop looking outward for approval and start looking inward for peace. That's what pain does. It strips away the lies and reveals the truth. And the truth is, you are stronger, wiser, and more capable than you've ever given yourself credit for. That didn't come from comfort. That came from the fire. That came from walking through the storm and refusing to let it drown you. There's a lie that pain whispers in your ear. This will never get better. And if you're not careful, you'll start to believe it. You'll start to build a life around survival instead of joy. But let me tell you, it does get better. Slowly, quietly, one brave breath at a time, not all at once, but day by day. You won't always feel like this. You won't always hurt like this. And I know it's hard to believe that when you're in the middle of the storm, but healing is happening even when you can't see it. Your strength is growing even when you feel weak. You're moving forward even when all you can do is crawl. You're building something inside that will serve you for the rest of your life. You just have to keep going, keep breathing, keep choosing to live even when you don't feel like it. Because the other side of pain is purpose, and it's waiting for you. But you've got to walk through the valley before you reach the mountain. Don't stop in the middle, keep going. Your pain has been molding you for the moment you haven't even met yet. It's preparing you for people you haven't even encountered. See, when you carry pain with intention, you become someone others can trust, someone others can lean on, because you've been there. You know what it feels like to break and build yourself back. And that gives you wisdom. That gives you compassion. That gives you a voice this world desperately needs. You are not just another face in the crowd. You are a survivor with a story. Don't bury that. Don't silence that. Use it. Build something with it. Whether it's art, a business, a ministry, a movement. Whatever it is, let your pain be the blueprint, not the roadblock. Let it remind you that even the worst chapters of your life can birth something powerful, something eternal. Don't sit in the ashes when you're called to rise. You've got more to live for than what you lost. Your purpose didn't die in your pain. It was born in it. Pick it up. Walk with it. Speak it loud. Too many people numb their pain, avoid it, escape it, but what you avoid will eventually control you. What you bury will one day rise, and not on your terms. So feel it now, face it now, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. You can't outrun what you refuse to confront. And every time you turn away from your pain, you turn away from your power, because your healing is hiding inside your honesty. You've got to name what hurts you, call it out, own it, and then declare that it will not define you. You're not what they did to you. You're not the mistake you made. You're not the rejection, the failure, the betrayal. You are the person who kept going. You are the person who rose. And there's something sacred about that, something unshakable. So stop apologizing for your scars. Stop hiding your struggle. Your pain is not shameful. It's your proof. Proof that you endured. Proof that you lived. Proof that you're still here. And if you're still here, it means your purpose is too. Everything you've been through, every heartbreak, every disappointment, every sleepless night, it wasn't random. It wasn't wasted. It was building you. And I know that sounds cliche until you finally live long enough to see it. Until you look back and realize that the pain that almost ended you also awakened you. That without it, you'd still be tolerating less than you deserve. Still walking in circles, still blind to your value. But now you see things for what they are. Now you understand what matters. Pain didn't just hurt you. It sharpened you, gave you focus, gave you clarity. You're more intentional now, more aware, more real. And that's not just growth. That's grace. The kind of grace that only comes after the breaking. So stand tall, walk forward. With every scar, with every lesson, with every ounce of truth the pain taught you, because your pain has a purpose, and it's time to let it speak. There comes a moment in life when you're holding on to something so tight that it's choking the joy out of you. You carry the weight of betrayal, the sting of words that never should have been said, the wound from someone you trusted. You replay it over and over again, not because you want to, but because you don't know how to let it go. You think by holding on to that pain, you're protecting yourself, but you're not. You're reliving a war that already ended, and it's killing your peace. Forgiveness, it's not about forgetting what they did. It's not about pretending it didn't hurt. It's about choosing to take your power back, because as long as you carry that resentment, they still control you. They still own a piece of your heart. But the day you forgive, not for them, but for you, that's the day you get free. Not weak, not soft, free. And sometimes the most powerful thing you'll ever do is whisper to yourself, I deserve peace more than I deserve revenge. That's real strength. That's freedom. That's what forgiveness is all about. You're not weak because you're tired of carrying hate. You're not a fool for wanting to be free. Too many people mistake forgiveness for approval. But let me tell you something. Forgiveness doesn't mean what they did was okay. It means you are okay with not carrying it anymore. You're allowed to let go of the bitterness without reconciling with the person who broke you. You can close the chapter without inviting the villain back into the story. Forgiveness is the release of you, not the rescue of them. You don't owe anyone access to your life just because you forgave them. Boundaries still stand. Distance still matters. But your heart, it deserves rest. It deserves to breathe again. You don't heal by rewinding the hurt every day. You heal by choosing to break the cycle, to put the pain down and say, this ends with me. You weren't made to carry a grudge through life like a badge of honor. You were made to live light, to live free. And you can't do that with a heart full of poison. Some of y'all are angry and don't even remember who you're angry at. You've carried pain for so long it became your personality. You walk around guarded, cold, hard, thinking it's strength. But it's not strength to be numb. It's not strength to live bitter. It's survival. And I get it. You had to survive. But at some point, survival has to give way to healing. You deserve to live more than you deserve to hurt. But you've got to make that choice. Forgiveness is not a feeling. It's a decision. It's waking up and saying, I'm not giving this pain one more day of my life. You may not forget. You may still feel the sting sometimes. But you don't feed it anymore. You don't give it a seat at your table. You reclaim your joy, your peace, your future. You break the cycle, not for them, but for you. Because the truth is, while you're still angry, they've already moved on. While you're stuck in yesterday, they're living today. Don't stay trapped in a prison they don't even know you're in. Bitterness will lie to you. It'll tell you you're safe, you're strong, you're in control. But the only thing it's doing is building a cage around your spirit. You think unforgiveness is power, but really, it's a prison. It keeps you stuck, keeps you hard, keeps you from loving again. And maybe that's the scariest part, not the pain, but the idea of being vulnerable again. But hear me, you don't heal by staying hard. You heal by choosing softness even after pain, by choosing to love again, trust again, believe again, not because they deserve it, but because you do. You deserve a life that's not controlled by the people who hurt you. You deserve a heart that's not weighed down by ghosts. And that only happens when you decide to open the cell and walk out. Forgiveness is your exit. It's the moment you say, you no longer have power over me, not with your words, but with your peace, with your freedom. And that kind of strength, that's unshakable. I know they broke you. I know they never apologized. I know they got away with it and the world kept turning like your heart didn't stop. And you're still standing in the rubble wondering how to rebuild with pieces they shattered. But here's the truth. They may never say sorry. They may never own what they did. And you've got to learn to heal anyway. That's what forgiveness is. It's refusing to let someone else's lack of accountability become your endless suffering. It's choosing to say, even if you never fix it, I will. That's courage. That's spiritual maturity. And it takes guts. But you're not doing it for them. You're doing it because you're tired of being weighed down. Because your destiny is too important to let a grudge become your God. There's too much life ahead of you to stay anchored to the past. You can't reach the next level with hands full of yesterday's pain. Let it go. Let it go so you can rise. Don't let the world fool you into thinking that holding on to hate makes you strong. Anybody can hate. Anybody can stay angry. But forgiveness, that takes strength. That takes faith. That takes a heart willing to choose healing over revenge. It's easy to clap back, easy to cut people off, easy to stay bitter, but it takes real power to say, I release you. Even if they never say thank you. Even if they never change. Even if they never understand what they did. You're not forgiving them to restore the relationship. You're forgiving them to restore yourself. To clear the fog from your mind, to free the weight on your chest. To breathe again. Some people say, I'll forgive when they apologize. But what if they never do? Does your healing have to wait for their humility? No, it doesn't. Your peace is your responsibility, not theirs. Don't give someone else the keys to your freedom. Take it back. Let's be honest. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is yourself. You've been replaying mistakes you made, conversations you wished you handled differently, people you should have walked away from sooner. And you're carrying that guilt like a second skin. But listen, you did the best you could with what you knew at the time. You made decisions from a place of love or fear or survival. And that version of you, they don't need punishment. They need grace. Forgiving yourself is the foundation of all forgiveness. Because you can't give grace to others while you're starving for it yourself. So start there. Start with you. Speak to your own heart like you would to a friend. I forgive you. I release you. I'm proud of you for surviving. That's not weakness. That's the most sacred kind of power, the kind that rebuilds you from the inside out. And once you start treating yourself with mercy, forgiveness for others will come easier. Because you'll realize we're all just human. Trying, failing, learning. When you hold on to unforgiveness, you're not protecting yourself, you're punishing yourself. You wake up with the same heaviness, you walk through life with a guarded heart, and joy becomes a stranger. You're breathing, but you're not alive. You're surviving, but you're not free. Forgiveness is how you cross that line. It's how you tell your soul, I'm done living like this. You're not letting anyone off the hook. You're choosing peace. And let me tell you something, peace is the highest revenge. Peace is proof that they didn't win, that they didn't get to steal your purpose, your spirit, your light. Let them wonder how you're smiling again. Let them wonder how you're thriving after what they did. That's forgiveness. That's freedom. And nobody can take that from you once you choose it. So when the anger comes up, and it will, don't fight it, but don't feed it either. Remind yourself, I'm not doing this for them. I'm doing this for me, for my future, for my peace. That's how you shift the power. You're no longer reacting from pain, you're responding from purpose. And that's the real gift of forgiveness. It doesn't change the past. It doesn't undo what they did, but it changes you. And that's what matters most. You weren't meant to live stuck. You weren't meant to carry the weight of every wrong done to you. You were meant to rise, to walk in freedom. And that starts with forgiveness. Quietly, powerfully, from within, one decision at a time. Not for them, but for you. Some people don't need another goodbye text. They don't need a final phone call or closure over coffee. They don't need another explanation, apology, or second chance. What they need is to lose access to you. Keep your head up, keep moving forward, and trust that the best is yet to come. Thank you for listening. May God bless you abundantly now and always.